Coming up, a look at 7 key tips to know before your next visit to Disney's Animal Kingdom. Hello my friends, and welcome to day 4 of Back to Basics Week here at Beyond the Kingdoms. Today, I'm going to share with you my 7 key tips to know before your next trip to Animal Kingdom, Disney's most underrated park if you ask me. And like always, let's kick things off with a look at how many days you need to see and do it all inside this beautiful park. Now, I don't think anyone will be surprised to hear me say that one day is all you need at Animal Kingdom. Some will think this is a half-day park, but I respectfully disagree, because to explore all the animal trails and to visit every little corner, you will indeed need a full day. If you dedicate a full day at Animal Kingdom, I promise that you won't regret it, because it's truly beautiful. Now, in general, I think the weekdays are the best times to visit the theme parks right now for the smaller crowds. But I know that sometimes that can't happen for everyone. If some of your travel dates fall on the weekend and you're wondering what's the least busy park to go to on a Saturday or Sunday, Animal Kingdom is definitely the answer. I think out of all 4 parks, this one is the most comfortable on a busy Saturday because it's huge. It's the biggest park with the least amount of rides. Even if some attractions have a really long line, this is the only park that can truly handle the big crowds the most, especially in the current situation we're in. But I will add that I do think it's better to do a Saturday here over a Sunday, because a lot of Floridians who visit for the weekend will choose this park on a Sunday before driving back home. So just keep that one in your back pocket. Next, let's take a look at a one-day touring plan for Animal Kingdom. Now, you may be thinking, David, I got this. I know what to do. I'm just going to rope drop and head straight to Pandora first. Well, I'm here to say, hold that thought for a moment. If you're only visiting this park to experience Pandora and then just hop to another location, then yes, rope dropping Flight of Passage, followed by Navi River Journey, is naturally the right thing to do. But if you arrive even 30 minutes after the park opens, heading to Pandora first may work against you. The guests who really experience the benefit of rope dropping are the ones who either get on that very first bus, which is normally about 90 minutes before opening time, or the ones driving and ready to park their car an hour before official park opening time. And that's because they are truly the ones at the front of the pack. If you're somewhere in the middle or the back of that early morning rush, you will see a pretty significant change in the wait times from the first 30 minutes to the second 30 minutes. And you could waste more time in this one land than you wanted to. So you may be thinking, then when do I visit Pandora? My personal answer to that is at the end of your day. All week I've discussed this concept. Save the best and most popular attractions for the beginning or the end of your day, never in the middle. And there are many benefits to leaving Pandora for the end, which I'll discuss later. But let's take a look at where you should start your day at Animal Kingdom. In the past, I've recommended doing a safari at sunset time or in the evening, because it offers a unique experience that many visitors don't get to see. But these days, the safaris end early, usually before the sun even starts to set. And that is why I suggest starting your one-day touring plan in Africa, specifically at Kilimanjaro Safaris. From here, I would then tour the park in a figure 8 pattern, similar to what I suggested yesterday at Epcot. After a morning with the animals in Africa, you could cross the park diagonally through Discovery Island. And this would be before you hit Dinoland. From there, you can then loop around the lagoon to make a stop in Asia, before your big finale in Pandora. But you may be thinking, David, why such a weird pattern? Well, there are multiple reasons behind this plan. First is a bit of a spoiler for another tip, but it has to do with dining. My two favorite places to eat at Animal Kingdom are Flame Tree Barbecue and Satu'li Canteen. If you follow this figure 8 pattern, you could have lunch at Flame Tree Barbecue on Discovery Island. And then you can enjoy dinner at the end of your day at Satu'li Canteen. The second reason I follow this pattern has to do with the 2 attractions in Asia. The thrill seekers who are not really too interested in looking at the animals will rope drop Flight of Passage and then naturally move on to the park's next thrill ride, Expedition Everest. In the summer months, add in Kali River Rapids as well. So I like to try to avoid this pack. The final reason for this pattern has to do with the park's 2 animal trails. Believe it or not, there are actually some guests who think that you can only see animals at this park on the safari, and they skip the trails altogether. So if you get that early morning safari, you can tour Gorilla Falls second. Not only will you see some giant silverback gorillas, but you also might catch some zebras. The animals on the trails tend to be most active in the early morning during feeding time. This is why I like to try to do the safari and Gorilla Falls together before 10 a.m. The one downside to this plan is Dinosaur. This e-ticket attraction in the heart of Dinoland has experienced a strange turn of events, which takes me to tip number 3. Attraction Curveballs. In my top tips video for Epcot and Hollywood Studios, I share some modifications to attractions due to physical distancing. I like to highlight the rides that might have a different experience to them now because of these modifications, and which ones see either shorter or longer wait times because of adjusted rider capacity. Like we saw at some attractions at Hollywood Studios, the ride vehicles here have a plexiglass divider between the 2 front rows and the 2 back rows. This is to safely load more guests as opposed to leaving rows empty. So you would think that this adjustment and no fast pass would make the wait time better. But the plexiglass is not in between every single row, so the cars are still not always filled to full capacity. There's also a few other things I have to point out that I think have contributed to this weird phenomenon at Dinosaur. First, Primeval Whirl, just a few steps away, has closed forever, so that's one less attraction in this land. On top of that, some of the shows are not running too, Finding Nemo being one of them. So all of these factors have contributed to Dinosaur having an hour wait for the majority of the day. And once it hits that, it's very rare for it to go down. Unless you do this ride first thing in the morning, which I'm not officially recommending, you'll just have to accept a longer wait at this than usual. On the flip side, Kilimanjaro Safaris has seen the complete opposite effect. The trucks here now have a plastic shield in between every single row, meaning lots of guests can get on this ride every single hour. And the wait time seems to rarely exceed a 30-minute wait because of it. This is perhaps the best example of how the absence of FastPass Plus has really benefited some attractions. Now you may be worried about visibility, but again, like I talked about yesterday on Living with the Land at Epcot, the trucks here are really designed for you to be looking towards the sides more than the front. Little ones might have some trouble with visibility here, so you may want to consider seating them on the outside. But aside from Flight of Passage, this is truly Animal Kingdom's premier attraction, and it cannot be missed. The only thing I want to highlight is the line. Don't be surprised when you arrive in the morning to see the line stretching all the way to the Harambe Theater. This is another great example of how physical distancing and queues can be really misleading to the eye. I did this a few times, and for each ride, the posted wait time was only 20 minutes. I timed it, and it was indeed 20 minutes. So don't let it scare you, trust the fact that it will move very quickly. The remaining attractions of this park see very little adjustments. Expedition Everest seems to be seating travel parties in every single row now. On Flight of Passage, some of the bikes are left empty in between parties. But this attraction is enormous and can still handle lots of people every single hour. It's not necessarily going to be a short wait time, but it's going to be better than those 2 or 3 hour waits we saw a few years ago. In fact, don't be surprised to see a longer wait at Navi River Journey over Flight of Passage. At this boat ride, each travel party gets their own raft, so that does cause a little bit of a backup. If you visit Pandora at the end of the day, just keep an eye on the wait times for both. Get on the shorter one first, and just make sure you enter that last ride a few minutes before the park officially closes. Alright friends, by now you know what comes next. It's time to take a quick break. All week I've talked about what Disney calls Relaxation Stations. These are those dedicated zones where guests can take off their masks for a quick break. And like all of the other parks, Animal Kingdom has this both indoors and out. So let's take a look at where those exact locations are. Animal Kingdom has 2 official relaxation stations. And there's a third spot that will serve as a good place for a break. The first official station is located on Discovery Island at Pete Safari. This is located in between the 2 bridges to Africa and Pandora. On my visits, I only saw the outside seating area for the restaurant being used for this station. For the record, the quick service itself is closed. I've heard some guests say they got a table inside for some AC, but I'm not 100% sure that that's accurate. The second relaxation station is located in Asia at Upcountry Landing, right across the Caravan Theater. This was previously used as a stroller parking area, and it's the better of the 2 options here at this park in my humble opinion. And that's because it offers a nice view of the Tree of Life, and if you time it right, you may catch a character cavalcade pass by on the river. More on that later. The third spot I want to highlight for a break is the amphitheater in Asia. If you didn't know, Disney has announced that Rivers of Light is officially retired. Fireworks and other nighttime spectaculars will eventually come back at some point, but it looks like Animal Kingdom may not get a nighttime show for quite some time. But this area is great in the daytime for a break. The theater is huge, and you can keep more than 6 feet away from your fellow guest. Now, this is not an official mask-free zone, but if you do pick up a snack nearby, this is a good spot to step away from others and simply enjoy it. Which takes me to my next tip: best places to eat. Disney World veterans will say that Epcot is the place for theme park foodies. I can't deny that it offers the best range. But Animal Kingdom is a quiet underdog. In fact, you almost can't go wrong here. I love nearly every single dining location inside this park. Animal Kingdom is great for those of you looking for something a little bit more adventurous, but still theme park friendly. And almost every dining location offers a good amount of outdoor seating, something that's very important right now. So allow me to highlight some of my favorite snacks, dishes, and restaurants. When I do travel into Dinoland, I always make room for the buffalo chicken chips, which can be found at Trilo Bites. It's a small snack stand right after the bridge from Discovery Island. I also have an unhealthy addiction to French fries, so another must-get snack for me is Mr. Kamal's seasoned fries. It's topped with a spicy tzatziki that gives it an extra kick. This is a very overlooked snack stand on the path between Asia and Africa, but be warned, it's not always open. And Africa is actually another great place for snacks, probably one of the best lands if you ask me, right after Pandora. Dole Whip fans will want to make a stop at Tamu Tamu Refreshments, right at the start of Harambe, because this is one of the very few places that you can get some pineapple floats with some rum. I also like the Simba Sunset, which combines pineapple with watermelon and a strawberry coconut syrup on top. Tamu Tamu is also one of the very few places to get a quick breakfast aside from Starbucks. I also sometimes like getting a simple corn on the cob at the Harambe Fruit Market. This is the small stand just outside the safari entrance. Not to be confused with the larger quick service market that's just down the path, Which reminds me, I usually really like this place for lunch, but it's not always open right now. And when it is, it tends to close early at 3. But the menu has significantly been trimmed down, so I think it's worth a skip right now. In terms of quick service, Satu'li Canteen in Pandora is by far the best. In fact, I unapologetically crown it as the best quick service inside a park at Walt Disney World. It's a really simple menu, but you can customize your dishes in a variety of different ways. I like to do a chicken bowl here for dinner, or the cheeseburger pods, they're delicious. And the blueberry mousse for dessert is scrumptious. If you're looking for the iconic Night Blossom, head on over to Pongu Pongu just next door. It's kind of diabetes in a cup and will give your kids a huge sugar rush, but it is delicious. Now, Flame Tree Barbecue is perhaps a close second place for best quick service, and it's a long-standing fan favorite. They've got some hefty plates of barbecue here that will satisfy the big eaters. I also love this place because there's a huge amount of outdoor seating overlooking the lagoon. It's a real nice quiet oasis in the middle of the park. Now, I must admit that I haven't experienced Tiffin's yet. As soon as I feel more comfortable dining indoors, it will be at the very top of my list. But Animal Kingdom does tend to close quite early, which is why I think it's best to stick to quick service at this park right now. If you want to do table service and the park closes at around 5 p.m. when you visit, consider dining at your hotel. Or perhaps Disney Spring will be a better choice, since it offers some outdoor seating options. Just don't overlook the quick service options at this park or the snacks. You'll be pleasantly surprised. Alright, next, where to shop. Now, out of all 4 parks, I do the least amount of shopping at Animal Kingdom. But there are 2 key areas that I want to highlight. The first is back in Africa. In the middle of Harambe, there's a unique trio of stores all under one roof. Mombasa Marketplace sells an array of items focused on the Lion King. But just next door is Zuri's Sweet Shop, a place a lot of guests completely overlook. This is Animal Kingdom's confectionery. Just like its Magic Kingdom counterpart, it sells classic Mickey treats, fudge, and more. Now, pin collectors will also want to make a stop in Africa because it has the park's one pin trading board, at least from what I saw. Like I mentioned in my big Back to Basics video earlier this week, pin trading is different right now. Instead of directly trading with cast members, you'll find boards like this one. A cast member will retrieve the pin you want, and you can drop the pin you're trading it for in a box. From there, they get cleaned before going back up on the board for the next guest. But no trip to Animal Kingdom is complete for a shopaholic without a stop at Wind Traders. This is Pandora's main store and where you'll find the banshees, exotic plants, toys, and everything else related to Avatar. Island Mercantile on Discovery Island sells some Pandora-related merchandise, but to see the full range, you gotta head to Wind Traders. And finally, to wrap things up today, let's take a look at characters and entertainment. Now, even before 2020, Animal Kingdom had the least amount of character meet and greets. You can't officially meet characters face-to-face for autographs and pictures right now, but there are cavalcades at this park like the other 3. But they are quite unique at Animal Kingdom. Instead of parade floats traveling on the pathways, character cavalcades happen on the water here. Throughout various points in the day, a few characters will circle Discovery Island and the lagoon in Asia. You might see Mickey with Minnie, Pocahontas makes appearances regularly, and you'll probably see the ducks that previously had meet and greets in Dinoland. That's Donald, Daisy, and Launchpad McQuack. But you also might be surprised to hear that some live shows are currently taking place at Animal Kingdom, and one more is on the way. If you make the time to get on the Wildlife Express train from Africa to Conservation Station, you'll be happy to see that the animation experience is indeed still taking place. The focus now is on how animators are inspired by real animals when creating classic Disney characters. On my trip, we got to draw a new character from the film Raya and the Last Dragon. But a little advice before you decide to do this. physical distancing on the trains means it'll take a little longer to get on the Wildlife Express. The shows fill up quite quickly here too, and there isn't a huge amount of space. So make sure you give yourself a good hour and a half for the round trip journey, and the show on top of that. Check the My Disney Experience app for the most up-to-date show schedule when you visit. And each session is 30 minutes. If your little ones get caught up in the nearby petting zoo, you will find yourself spending close to 2 hours here, so plan accordingly. But that's not all when it comes to entertainment, because Disney has officially announced that one of the best shows at Disney World is scheduled to come back this summer, Festival of the Lion King. There is no specific opening date just yet, but keep your eyes and ears open. So friends, that concludes day 4 of Back to Basics Week, my 7 key tips for Disney's Animal Kingdom. And that means tomorrow is the big finale, my top tips for Magic Kingdom. Now this is gonna be a big video packed with lots of information. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn on those notifications so that you don't miss it. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Please take care of each other. And remember, if you can dream it, you can do it.